for us, for our all-around spiritual growth, because spirituality, the real spirituality happens when we can assimilate between knowledge and devotion. Only with knowledge is the direction, and devotion is the momentum. So when these both assimilate together, when they combine, join, then only we get the taste of real spirituality. And everybody, uh, whoever spiritual stalwart we talk about, uh, uh, when we consider their life, their way, their path. So if he starts with Jnana Yoga, he ends up with Bhakti Yoga. He ends up with the Bhakti Yoga. He ends up with love, with this divine love, with this divine devotion. And if he starts from Bhakti Yoga, that is from through devotion to Lord, then he at the end of his life, he gets the taste of this Jnana Yoga. So uh, both are not complementary to each other. Actually, both are the same thing. It's two faces of the same coin. So because we see only one coin, one face, that is why we consider which is higher or which is lower, which is important or which is not important. But ultimately, when you go to the supreme, then everything is important. Both are important, and both plays a very pivotal role in your life, in our life, in our spiritual growth, in our spiritual evolution. So today we are going to discuss about this bhakti, about this love. So before going into this subject, let me just give you a reference why it is so important to know about this particular subject. Why it is means so important that we need to know about bhakti. Why not we discuss about knowledge? So I think you have heard about Bhagavad Gita, no? Have you heard about Bhagavad Gita, a text, a spiritual text uh, about Bhagavad Gita, the text which talks about the dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna in the midst of a battlefield. So there is a spiritual text called the Bhagavad Gita, which is a dialogue between the Lord Krishna and his one of his devotees called Arjuna. So at one point, Arjuna wanted to know who are the people who are actually, who are actually more close to God, who are actually, more united with God. So there's this word called yoga. You know, yoga means united. It has got three meanings. So the first meaning, which you are acquainted, I'm sure, that is samadhi or super conscious state. That I am sure that you have heard about this particular word, which is called super conscious state or samadhi. So this is the first meaning of yoga. The second meaning of yoga is to mix, to join, to unite. So this is union with God, union with the supreme, union with consciousness. So this is also yoga. And the third meaning of yoga is practice. So the aim of our life is yoga. That is that is to mix with God, to mix with the self or consciousness. When you approach the spiritual path through dualistic point of view, so there is God. And if you approach your spiritual path through non-dualism, then it is not God, it is the it is the consciousness, supreme consciousness. And both are the same. It is like water vapor and ice. It's the same. It's water droplets. So the states are different. Water vapor is not different from that of ice, though it looks different, it feels different, It has got different attributes, different qualities, but the main constituent is the same. So, the personal and the impersonal, the personal God and the impersonal God, the personal, this individual, or the self, or the consciousness, which has got attributes, which has got a name, which has got a form, is the same as the consciousness which is beyond attributes, which is beyond name, which is beyond form. It only depends upon our perception, how we look at it, but it's all the same. So, so the aim of our life is to attain the state of yoga, that is union with God. Now, now Arjuna has a question, because there are two paths. One is the path of knowledge, which is very popular, and another is the path of devotion, which is also popular. Now, which one to partake? Because both are there, and sometimes we become confused. If we partake the path of knowledge, whether we are going to get the real, the real knowledge, whether we are going to reach the reality, or the reality will be covered. We cannot, maybe we cannot reach the reality, and then there is this path of devotion, which talks about the personal God. So whether a person who approaches the reality through personal God, whether he reaches the supreme reality or the absolute reality or not. So there is always this, this question, this doubt, so, and people always ponder whether or not we are approaching the right path. The answer is, whenever, whichever path you feel very comfortable with. If you are comfortable with the path of devotion, that is your path. You should devote completely into that path. And if you feel that your path is the path of self-contemplation, your path is the path of is the path of that impersonal reality, then you should devote yourself completely in the contemplation and the perception of that impersonal reality, which will further give you the experience of that. So now there is a question, very interesting question, because this is the this question erupts at the 12th chapter. While in the 12th chapter, till we come to the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, till that time Krishna had already delivered the message of Vedanta, the message of the impersonal God, the message of the non-dual self, as well as the personal God. Because Bhagavad Gita is the most authoritative text where we find documents about this personal God. In India, mostly God with form, God with attributes, God with name is actually found in the mythology, that is in the Puranas. We don't have we don't have too many reference of that God, those God with personal attributes in the Upanishads or any other spiritual text except Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is a very, very, very authoritative and very, very orthodox, as well as very, very, perfect, documentation is there about the reality of this personal God, the characteristics of the personal God, his attributes, the way he comes into this world and the way he works, what is the reason why he comes into this world, and while he works here, what is the way through which he works, and why does he work, and how does he go back into his own abode. This whole thing has been given in details in Bhagavad Gita, and which is very authentic, which is also very authentic. So at the 12th chapter, when Krishna had already talked about the non-dual self, about the self which does not have any form, and the self which has form, which the reality which has form, which has attributes, which has name, which you can touch, feel, talk to. So which is intangible and the other which is tangible. So both realities when they were they were put forward to Arjuna, then Arjuna has a question. What is the question? He says, evam satata yukta ye bhaktastvam paryupasate ye chapaksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. So he says that, Krishna, tell me one thing. You're the Lord. You know everything. Tell me one thing. Who is the one who knows the reality in a better way? Is it the one who approaches through the non-dual self? It is what Bhagavad Gita says. It's not me. So just to relate to why we are going to read this chapter, I'm describing it. In reality, as my experience goes, both are the same. So here Arjuna asks, tell me which one is the one by which we can be more united, superiorly united to the reality or to the supreme, through bhakti, through devotion, through the worship of this personal God, or through the approach of the impersonal God. Which one is the path, which one is the way through which we can be more united with him, where we can know him better. Which one is the path? So in response to this, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, that is, the Lord speaks. What does he speak? What does he say? Maya Veshya Mano ye mam nikta yukta upasate Sraddhaya paryopetaste te yukta ne yukta tama mataha. So what does it mean? It says, a person who is completely absorbed in me, a person who worships me or adores me by being completely absorbed in a form, not in my formless being, but in the being, or in the form, with full faith in that form, that this is the reality. These are the people who are superiorly connected or united to me. Now, when Krishna says this, there may be two possibilities. Number one possibility is this, that to comprehend the incomprehensible, to comprehend the self, which is beyond attributes, which is never manifested, to comprehend that, it's very difficult. And a handful of people is able to do that. It's not for everybody. If a person who is not qualified for that, he goes and he tries this path, might be detrimental for him. So for the masses, for the common man at large, it is the path of bhakti, because something you can see, something you can touch, something you can feel, something you can connect to, with your own eyes, with your mind. And that is why probably he has said this, that a person who connects with me in the form, with attributes, with form, which is personal, is the one who becomes more attached to me. So this might be the reason why Krishna had said this. But because he said this, but my personal experience says that both are the same. So because he says this, so it makes the the subject of devotion more relevant. It makes the subject of to know about this personal God, its characteristics, how does he love, what is his love. It makes it more relevant. And that is why today we brought this this Uddhav's journey to Vrindavan. Uddhava is a cousin of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is considered to be the incarnate of God, God incarnate. So Uddhava is his cousin and his devotee. Now Lord Krishna spent the very the beginning of his life, his childhood, in a place called Vrindavan. Though he was from a royal family, but because his life had a lot of threats, so he was shifted to that place, Vrindavan, where he could grow up, from the far from the eyes of his enemies, so that people cannot cannot find where is he. So he was shifted to this place, Vrindavan, which was a village. And in this village, happened to be a lot of devotees of Lord Krishna. And he had a lot of divine manifestations in Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, you know everybody has a relationship with God. Here, Krishna is not the guru. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is the guru, is the guide, is guiding Arjuna. But here he is not the guide. He is a friend. He is a child. He's a child of somebody. He's a nephew of somebody. He's a brother of somebody. He's a friend of somebody. He's a lover of somebody. So, everybody in Vrindavan has some kind of relationship with Krishna. Irrespective of the relationship, the love is the same in everybody towards Krishna. Somebody is connected to him as his friend. Somebody is connected to him as his parents, or somebody is his like his elder brothers, or younger brothers, or whoever, or friends, or lovers also. So the love that they had for Krishna is the same. And this love is not the love which we know, which is prevalent in the world. This love was completely devotional, and it was selfless love. This love that these people had for Krishna never wanted anything from Krishna. They didn't even want Krishna for themselves. They only loved him for love's sake, for himself, for Krishna, to make him feel better, to make him happy. That's all. They don't need anything. And in case Krishna had left them, or in case Krishna doesn't talk to them, it did not create any ripples in their mind. They were okay with that. They were okay with Krishna loving somebody else, while they were just standing besides him and just appreciating the love that Krishna had for somebody else. This is phenomenal. So many people absorbed in this kind of very, very, very pure and very, very deep love is a rare phenomenon in this whole universe. So that happened in Vrindavan. But when Krishna became 11 years old, when he became 11 years, then he was taken to he was taken back to the royal family again, because he had to destroy, he had to kill the demons, he had to kill the cruel kings. And it was to destroy those cruel kings that he was born. So once he was 11 years, then he was taken back to the royal family, and after that he never came back to Vrindavan. Okay, so but when he was going to this, when he was going to Mathura, the place is Mathura, where he went into his, where his royal family used to live. So when he was going to Mathura from Vrindavan, he had promised everybody that I'm coming back within 2 days. And everybody, nobody wanted him to leave. Everybody, they all blocked his way, that no, you cannot go. We are not going to leave you. But he somehow convinced everybody that, see, I'm going to come back within 2 days. I'm going to kill Kangsha, the cruel king, and I'm going to come back. And then when everybody saw that, okay, it's just a matter of 2 days, and let him go. But he went there and he did not come back. And it was 12 to 15 years that he did not come back. And the condition of these people in Vrindavan had become very, 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 very tragic. Very, very pitiful. They are just lovers. They are poor people. Lovers. They are from village, Indian village. They are very simple people. They don't know anything. they don't have access to anybody. Some of them wanted to go to Mathura and get hold of Krishna, but they could not get access to Krishna, because now Krishna had become a king. He was just a herdman. When he was in Mathura, he was a daughter, he was a son, he was a brother, he was a friend of people. But when he went to Mathura, he became a king. So he became inaccessible, and nobody could reach him. So people were really very sad, and this sadness went into the extent where you know they stopped eating, they stopped even laughing, talking to each other. And this went in this way. And there are like many poems written to describe this melancholic state of the people of Vrindavan. It was really very hard for them to spend 1 minute without Krishna. And like 15 years has passed. So this time when we are going to read is like, Krishna has become like, he has become an adult. From killing Kangsha, then he had to go to his teacher's place, which is called Gurukul. So he had to go there, and he had to take the lessons of this Vedas, and then he had to come back. So in between this, 10 to 15 years has passed, and everybody talks about the devotion, the love of these people in Vrindavan, but nobody knew what is going on in the mind of Krishna. So now we are going to read this one, this Uddhava's journey to Vrindavan. Krishna sends Uddhav to Vrindavan with a message to the gopis, to his lovers, to his parents, to his brothers, everybody. And I'm sure that you will like it. So before going into the text, is it possible that we can meditate for like 5 minutes and just pray to God, so that you can understand the essence of this text? How are you feeling, by the way? Is it okay? Or we can go into other subject? Okay. So let's start. Uddhav's visit to Braja. Braja means Vrindavan. The other word of the other meaning, Vrindavan is also known as Braja. So this is part one. Uddhav's visit to Braja. After finishing their education and receiving the blessings of their teacher, Krishna and Balaram returned to Mathura. Balaram is the elder brother of Krishna. So they went to study in their in the teacher's house in India. Before in the ancient times, there were no schools. You needed to go to the house of your teacher, spend like 14 years there, and study everything. From Vedas to and all the educational system that we had at that time, and then you come back. So they came back, having seen them and got them in the midst after a long time. Vasudeva and Devaki, as well as Krishna's relatives and friends, and the residents of Mathura were overwhelmed with joy. So the parents of Krishna were Vasudeva and Devaki. Because he had a threat of his life from the very beginning, so Krishna was transported to Vrindavan to his foster parents, and the name of them were Nanda, who was the foster father, and Yashoda, who was the foster mother. So his parents' name is Vasudeva and Devaki, as well as Krishna's relatives and friends, and the residents of Mathura were overwhelmed with joy. When Krishna came back, just by seeing him, by having him in the midst of them, they all were, they were all were, they were all jubilant, very jubilant. The entire city of Mathura was as if in a festive mood. Krishna was at the center of this festivity, and in this festive background, somewhere deep within his mind, there was a shadow of sadness. Everybody was enjoying. Krishna has come. Everybody was enjoying. But in the mind of Krishna, he could not enjoy. At the depth of his mind, there was the shadows of sadness, because he always had his mind in Vrindavan. Because he knew that those are the people who actually loves him, and their love is so pure, their love is so innocent, that he cannot deny them. But the situation is such that he cannot go back to Vrindavan. And why he cannot go back, we're going to read. And that is why Krishna was always very sad that he cannot go back to Vrindavan. Once when he was coming from Vrindavan, then he said to his gopis, he said to his devotees that Vrindavanam parityajam padam ekam nagachami. He said, I never, when I say this, I feel like crying. He said that, when I do not go 1 feet, even 1 feet away from Vrindavan. I never go away from Vrindavan. I'm always in Vrindavan. That is, I'm always in the midst of his, he's always in the midst of his devotees. And even today, when you go to Vrindavan, even after 6,500 years, when you go to Vrindavan, you can see, you can feel the vibrations of Krishna. You can feel the vibrations of of his devotees, and they are still present there, in everywhere, in every trees, in every forest, in every lakes, in the river, in the mountains, everywhere there is Krishna, and his gopis. Still now, when you go there, you can feel them. So, Krishna was very, very, very sad. He was very sad, and this love that Krishna had for his gopis, for his devotees in Vrindavan, and the love that the devotees had for him was never understood, because nobody loved anybody in this way. Nobody ever loved anybody in this way. That is why nobody could understand the depth of the love that Krishna had for his devotees and the devotees had for Krishna. Nobody understood. People thought that they're all insane. They're all insane, but they're not insane. They're all leading the life of very, very high quality spiritual life, which is, beyond perception, which is beyond perception. So uh, he was busy making arrangements for the administration of his kingdom, for taking care of his parents, relatives, and friends, and for establishing cordiality with the residents of Mathura. In spite of all this, there was no happiness in his mind. This is how Lord is. He's happy with everybody. Everybody is happy with him, but in the depth of his mind, he has these devotees who are missing him, and his mind, his heart also reaches out for them. He's always, painful. It's always painful for him. So, there was no happiness in his mind. The ever blissful one was suffering from unhappiness. Lord or God incarnate is considered to be Satchidananda. That is, truth, knowledge, and bliss. So he is blissful, ever blissful. So the ever blissful was always, dipped into sorrow, sadness. Krishna thought, today the residents of Mathura are immersed in happiness, but my Vrindavan is today enshrouded in unhappiness because of me. My Vrindavan, people in my Vrindavan, they're all sad. They're all enshrouded in pain, in sorrow, because of the separation for Krishna. They're all very, their life has become very painful. When I used to be there, the entire Vrindavan used to be flooded with joy. Krishna is thinking that when I was there in Vrindavan, the whole Vrindavan was flooded with joy. Everywhere there was joy. Everybody was happy because the Lord was there. And the Lord was in a very, very natural, normal way. He was not a king there. He was not a lord there. He was the brother, the friend, the son, the lover of people. He was just like another human being. So everybody could, touch him. Everybody could, everybody was very, very fond of him. So people are very, when I used to be there, the entire Vrindavan used to be flooded with joy. But today, in my absence, my parents, Nanda and Jashoda, these people, if we can go up to that point where we can read about the conditions, what happened to Nanda, what happened to the Yashoda, you will see it's so painful. It's so painful, but the interesting part is this, that they don't want to give up pain. This friend Uddhava, who brings Krishna's message, he tells them there's a way by which you can get rid of this pain of separation from Krishna. Just fix yourself into knowledge, and this pain of separation is going to go, because Krishna is in every being. Krishna is everywhere. It's not only in this body. But these people, they don't want to give up this pain. For them, this pain of separation is Krishna. They don't want to give this pain. And this is something which is very phenomenal. And then, Uddhava understood that this is not a general pain. This is not a normal pain. This is not a worldly pain. This is a pain, this is a suffering which nobody can understand, which a person who goes through this can only understand. And when a person goes through this, he sees that this suffering only happens to a devotee of a very, very, very high class. It doesn't happen to, a normal devotee. A devotee, a lover who is a very, very high class devotee, this happens in them. And this kind of pain, this kind of sufferings is termed to be, the highest state of spirituality. Mahabhava. Mahabhava. That means I am in Krishna. I am in Krishna, still I am feeling the intense pain of separation of Krishna. This is something which, which is very, very difficult to understand for everybody. There was a saint called Swami Vivekananda. He said that if you really want to understand the real feelings, the real state of love of the people of Vrindavan, you need to always pray to God, so that at the end of your life, you can understand a very little, negligible part of that love that they had for God. So this is not so normal. Though it sounds like very, very worldly. It sounds very worldly that it sounds like attachment, like worldly attachment. He was with us and then he is not there. So we are all attached. So we are feeling this pain. But it's not like that. They are always dipped in Krishna. They have this option of not having this pain. They have, because they have that in him. Krishna is residing in their heart. The moment they dip into their heart, they find him, and all their pain is gone. But still they want to remain in pain. Still they want to remain in pain. And this is the highest state of spirituality. This is also termed as Mahabhava. Also termed as Mahabhava. So, Krishna is thinking that, but today in my absence, my parents, Nanda and Jashoda, my dear friends and gopis, their friends and gopis were the lovers of Krishna, and the other people of Braja are all suffering from the pangs of being separated from me. They're all separated from me, and that is why they are suffering. Over and above, as I was staying in my teacher's house for a long time, they haven't heard anything about me. The first is that they were all separated from him, and then they had no news of Krishna for a long, long time. And this, agitated their pain. This aggravated their pain. I know that I am their life force. Krishna says, I am their life force. They, the prana, this prana, I am the prana of them. They don't have any life force. They are not human beings. They don't have the life force from their body or from this environment. I am their life force. They are so much absorbed in me that they don't need any physical life force. I am their life. The consciousness, this God, the supreme self, the God himself is the life force of them. I am their life force. If they get me in their midst, they will even forget themselves in joy. And again, in my absence, they live as if they are all dead. When they get me, they will all be very happy. And, and when I'm gone, then they will all be sad again. When I was coming from Vrindavan, I had sent messages to the gopis that I shall return soon. After killing Kanksha, when Nanda was returning to Braja with a heavy heart, I had told him that all arrangements for the residents of Mathura, I shall come to see the people of Braja. Now many days has passed, and yet I haven't been able to keep my words. Krishna, the Lord who controls everything from within the living beings, was today especially experiencing the pain of the people of Braja owing to their separation from him. So here is an interesting part. He sees that the people of Vrindavan, they are all suffering because they love him. But he is the Lord. And when he thinks about them, he is also feeling the pain of them, of theirs. Now he is the Lord. He can ease their pain because he lives, in the heart of everybody. So he can ease their pain from being within, but he is not doing that. Why he is not doing that? Because, he wants to show the people, he wants to show the world that the love for God is even greater than God himself. He is God. He is God, but the love that a person can have for God is more than the God himself. And that is why even God cannot, reduce the pain of these people. God cannot do that, because this is how God, how God, or the Supreme Self, he adores us, he loves us. He becomes small to us. He becomes inferior. He shows himself to be so weak that he cannot dispel the sadness in our mind, owing to the separation for him. The separation, the pain, the separation, the pain that we experience, in the pain that we experience from the separation with him is so much that the Lord even cannot dispel it. So this is also a divine, a divine play of the Lord. This is the greatness of the Lord. The Lord today was part up by the sufferings of his devotees. Thus today he has to redress the sufferings of his devotees who have him alone as their support. But how? How can he, how can he reduce the pain of the devotees? So, he was thinking, it was impossible for Krishna to go to Braja now. The one way to reduce the pain of his devotees was to go to Vrindavan, himself, and be with them. But it was not possible. Why? After Kangsha was killed, the cruel king Kangsha was killed, his father-in-law Jarasandh was mad at Krishna. There was this king called Jarasandh, who was again a very cruel king. So he was mad. He had attacked Mathura 17 times, and therefore it was impossible for Krishna to leave Mathura and go anywhere else. Even going to Vrindavan for just 2 or 3 days was not a wise idea. It was so because Jarasandh could get the information through his spies that Krishna's foster parents as well as their childhood friends are at Vrindavan, and that Krishna has a strong bond of love with them. Thus, if he attacked Vrindavan and caused its ruins just to cause the pain of Krishna and not for any other reason, there will be no way to protect the coward men and women there. Moreover, Krishna knew that Vasudeva and Devaki, who were their real parents, will never permit him to go to Vrindavan, because they knew that he had a strong attraction for Nanda and Jashoda. So why Krishna cannot go to Vrindavan? Because when Krishna had killed this cruel king called Kangsha, his father-in-law was Jarasandh. He was another very cruel king. So he attacked, he attacked Krishna 17 times to kill him, but he could not. So now if Krishna goes to Vrindavan, these poor people in Vrindavan, in a village, so Jarasandh will know that Krishna has his beloveds in Vrindavan. So to take revenge from Krishna, Jarasandh might attack, Vrindavan. And that is why he does not want to go there. And also his real parents, that is Vasudeva and Devaki, they knew that Krishna has a very strong bond with the people of Vrindavan. And if he goes there, then he will never come back. And nobody wants to get rid of Krishna. Nobody wants to let go Krishna. So everybody wants to hold him, with themselves. So they would never, they will never let him to go there. And that is why Krishna was stuck in Mathura with the pain of the devotees. While the devotees in Vrindavan, they were also stuck in this pain of separation with Krishna. So this was how it is. Then it says, so now it was known why Krishna cannot return to Vrindavan. But something had to be done, at least to some extent, to assuage the sufferings of the people of Vrindavan, owing to the sufferings from him. Something had to be done. Krishna was thinking, what can I do? What can I do to reduce the pain of these people in Vrindavan? Otherwise, they would die. If I don't do anything, if I don't care for them now, these people are going to die because they are all suffering. No doubt Krishna was not in a position to go there on his own, but he could send someone there with this message, This idea was at least not bad, but whom to send? It was extremely difficult to get such a person. Krishna decided that his dear friend Uddhava will do this job as the message of the messenger. So Krishna decided that he's going to send Uddhava, who was his friend as well as his cousin, to Vrindavan as a messenger. He was the disciple of Brihaspati. Uddhav was the disciple of Brihaspati. Brihaspati was the master of the gods. Is the master of the gods. So Uddhav was the disciple of Brihaspati, the teacher of gods. He was extremely intelligent and the chief counselor in the clan of the Vrishnis. So he was the chief counselor in this royal family. He alone was the suitable person to go do this job. So one day, Krishna summoned him to a solitary place. So one day Krishna called him, in a solitary place, in loneliness, and held both of his hands and said in an extremely affectionate tone. He said to Krishna, to Uddhav, what did he say? Gachhodbhava brajam somya pitrono pritimavaha. He says, oh Uddhav, go to Braja, go to Vrindavan. I have my parents there. I have my parents there. Go and take care of them. Go and heal their pain. They're all suffering. Go and heal their pain. Gopinam mad viyogadim mat sandesha vimochaya. And the people and the gopis, the devotees, my devotees, they're all suffering. They're all suffering. Give them my message to them so that their pain can be eradicated. Their pain can be eliminated. Go and give this message to them. Oh dear looking Uddhava, go to Braja and cheer up our parents Nanda and Jashoda, and also assuage the sufferings of the gopis by conveying them my message. They are undergoing intense pain owing to their separation from me. Okay? Krishna knew that the task he was assigning to Uddhava was extremely difficult, because this was a very difficult task. It's not a normal messenger. You go there and you just deliver the message and come back. You need to go there, you need to deliver the message, and you need to, eliminate the sufferings in their mind, in their heart. Because this is a messenger not of a human being, it's a messenger of God. So the people to whom he is taking this message are also very, very special. Though they look to be very ordinary human being in the village, illiterate people, poor people, but they are really very, very special. Because, today after 6,500 years, we are studying their love, their love for Krishna, love of this very poor people, poor, illiterate, village people, rural people, the cowherds. We are reading about them, we are discussing about them. So their love was not so, so simple. It was not so simple. It was something very great. Krishna could possibly, console the people of Braja suffering from the pain caused by the separation from him. But when that was not possible, then it was necessary to send a person who was Krishna's fast friend, most trustworthy, and one who knew everything that was in Krishna's heart. So, he needed a person to go there, somebody who is very close to Krishna, so that people can relate that person with Krishna. Only then will such a person, only then will such a person be able to console, at least to some extent, the people of Braja. Uddhava and Krishna's father brought, Uddhava was Krishna's father's brother, Devabhaga's son. So Uddhava was the son of Krishna's uncle. So he was a cousin. So in relation, he was Krishna's cousin, a close relative. He was almost of Krishna's age and also resembled him in his looks. His calm face and his peaceful behavior made everybody experience peace in their heart. Moreover, he was a great knower of truth. He was especially deft in rationally conversing according to the demand of the place, time, and person. Thus, he was an ideal choice for the task of a messenger. But the task with which Uddhava was going was going was not one motivated by a political cause or purpose. It was something to do with the feelings of one's heart, to deal with the message of Krishna's selfless love for the gopis. All these days, even Uddhav had no idea of the deep feelings residing in Krishna's heart. Can one divulge such a thing to anyone and everyone? This task was very difficult, and it was Uddhava who could do it because he had got that wisdom. He had got that that composure, so he could do it. But Uddhava was really surprised that how could Krishna hide these feelings of so much love for these people of Braja while he was performing all these duties, while he was performing all his duties so sincerely. Uddhava have never seen him so sad. Uddhava was never seen him so intensely anxious. So he was really surprised. How is it possible? And what kind of people they are, for whom Krishna, the one who is the Lord, who is always who is always situated in his nature, in his real nature, he is becoming anxious for them. So how can these people be? There was another reason why Krishna chose to send Uddhava as the messenger. Why? Because Uddhava was a wise man. He was a Gyani. He was an enlightened soul. And because he was very close to Krishna, so he had this, a little bit of pride also. There was some ego also which has developed, that I'm very close to Krishna. I am always close to Krishna. He doesn't have, a simplest idea that there are some people residing in some corner of the world who love him more than their life, which he did not even have a simplest idea about that. And Krishna wanted to show him, go and see these people. You think that you love me. You think that you know everything. You have attained knowledge. You have attained enlightenment. But there are many things beyond this. There are many things beyond this enlightenment. There are many things beyond this knowledge, which you have not known. Go and see these people and feel their pain for me, and see how genuine their love is, and try to feel the essence of their love. And that is why, to just crush his pride of being superior, being a superior devotee, being a superior wise man, Krishna is sending Uddhava to Braja. And that is what it's written here. There was another reason why Krishna chose to send Uddhava as the messenger. Uddhava was Krishna's ardent devotee. And because of this, there was a little bit of pride in him. Because he was his ardent devotee, he was always close to Krishna. So there was a pride in him. He was his cousin, he was his devotee, as well as he was an enlightened soul. So there was a pride, there was an ego. Krishna realized that it was necessary to remove this pride of devotion from Uddhava's mind. When we are in a spiritual path, just by being in a spiritual path, unknowingly we become, we become prideful. Unknowingly. We cannot notice that. We can notice the pride in other people, but we cannot notice the pride which we develop within ourselves. The small steps that we take towards our highest accomplishment, they also brings ego. They also brings pride within our mind. And that is why there should always be a fact check. There should always be a checking. You should always inquiry within yourself whether you are becoming, whether you are having this, this in your mind, that you are superior from others, you are better than others. The moment you have this in your mind that you are better than, you are better than others, that you have fallen into that, that circle of pride, that pit of pride. And then you need to do stuff. You need to do a lot of hard work to get rid of that, because that is going to stop your spiritual development. So Uddhava, because of his pride, his spiritual development was also stopped, blocked. And Uddhava could not realize it. Uddhava thought this is normal. He was fine. But Krishna, the Lord, he knew that somewhere Uddhava is stuck. And he needs to get rid of that. And how can How can he get rid of that? He needs to go and see, something better than what he is, something higher than what he can contemplate, what he can think. So that is why Krishna sent Uddhava to Vrindavan. Krishna realized that it was necessary to remove the pride of devotion from Uddhava's mind, else his spiritual growth will be shunted. His spiritual growth will be stopped. Uddhava followed the spiritual path of knowledge combined with devotion, but the path followed by gopis was that of selfless devotion. Selfless devotion. They did not want anything. They did not want even enlightenment. Krishna many times had tried to, to give these gopis, these people, enlightenment. You become enlightened. They said, no, we just love you for you. We don't need anything, we don't need anything, in exchange of this love. This is the highest kind of love, just selfless love. They don't even want Krishna for them. They don't need liberation. They don't need enlightenment. They need nothing. They just want to see Krishna happy, that's all. Wherever he is, with whomever he is, he should be always happy. This is a very rare kind of love that, the world has experienced at one point of time in the history. Nowadays, these are not there. Maybe there are, but we don't know. So, Uddhava followed the spiritual path of knowledge combined with devotion, but the path followed by the gopis was that of selfless devotion, in which one totally dedicates oneself to God. He totally dedicates himself to God. That's it. He doesn't need anything. He doesn't need anything. The only thing that he wants is to dedicate more and more, to become his and his and his. There's no end of that. There's no end of this devotion. There's no end of this devotion. We talk about surrender. Surrendering to the Lord. Taking refuge to the Lord. This taking refuge to the Lord does not, end anywhere. It's a continuous, ongoing process. It's a continuous process. Every moment you need to be in the refuge of the Lord. Every moment you need to surrender yourself to the Lord. Because the moment you stop that, the moment you think that you have done it, that is the time when the pride is going to overtake you. It will just possess you. The pride will possess you, that I've given this, and that is the end of your spiritual life. So this is an ongoing process, and the gopis, the devotees of Krishna in Vrindavan, is the best example of this. They are just to give him, that's all. They don't need anything, in return. But the path for in which one totally dedicates oneself to the Lord, there was no taint of knowledge in their path. Knowledge also is a taint. Knowledge also is a taint. We don't need anything. We don't need to know anything. Uddhava went there and he said, you don't know Krishna is Lord, Krishna is God, Krishna is this, Krishna is that. Gopi says, no, we don't want that. We don't want to know anything. Either he is God or not. We don't love him because he is God. We don't love him because he is God. We love him because we love him, that's all. We don't want to know whether he is God or he is he's a demon. We don't want to know anything about him. The only thing that we know is that we love him. This is the love. So there was no taint of knowledge in them. There was no taint of knowledge in their path. Uddhava was ignorant about the nature of love that the gopis had for Krishna. Uddhava did not know that this kind of love is also possible. He didn't know that, there are people in the world who can love Krishna in this way, in this extent, that they can only, devote everything to him without anything in return. Uddhava was ignorant about the nature of love that the gopis had for Krishna, and how he would he know about it? After all, an example of this kind of love is not to be found anywhere else. This kind of love was never, never done before in the history, before the gopis. So nobody knew, nobody actually understood the kind of love that these people had. Now, when we know about it, we talk about it. But just imagine the time when nobody even knew that this kind of love can exist. What might happen with these gopis? People used to be so much, arrogant, you know, upon them. So Yuri, do we have time or we have to go?
If people need to go, they can go. It's flexible.
Okay.
I will stay.
So, where were I? What were you discussing?
The last thing that you were saying there about arrogance, something about
Yeah.
arrogant.
So just think about how people might have misbehaved with them, thinking that these people are all lunatic. These are all crazy people. They have misbehaved with them. They had to go through so much hardship just for loving Krishna, but they never gave up loving Krishna. They also always they were kept loving him. So after all, there was no after all, an example of this kind of love is not to be found anywhere else. Therefore, Krishna wanted Uddhava to go and see for himself the nature of love that the gopis had. And that is why Krishna wanted Uddhav to go and see them. Go and see them, learn from them. Go. Don't think that whatever you know is everything. There are more. Go and see them. And how they were. Go and see these people. How the nature of these people are. He thought this would certainly benefit Uddhava. He knew that this is how Uddhava is going to benefit. So now he is talking about the nature of the gopis. How were the gopis? What was the nature? Krishna says, Ta man manaska. Ta man manaska. That is, Uddhav, their mind is me. They don't have their mind. The whole mind has transformed into me. They have thought about me so much. They have devoted to me so much that their entire mind has transformed into me. So I am the one who resides within that mind, that body, because the mind resides within the body. So though it looks like a devotee, though the body looks like a devotee, but the devotee is gone. The devotee has mixed within me. It's me who is there. Ta man manaska. So, the gopis does not have anything of their own. They don't even have their mind. Their mind has been transformed into me. Ta man manaska. Mad prana. Prana means the life force. The life force by which this body, is lives. He says, they don't breathe. I am their life force. They stay in me. They don't breathe oxygen. They don't need air. They need me. I am their life force. You can keep them without oxygen, they will survive. But if you keep them without me, they will die. They will die. Mad prana. This is how the devotion of these gopis were. Madarte tyakta dehi kaha. And they have left their body only for me. We are, this body is so dear to me, dear to us. We take care of this body. But they have just left their body for Krishna. This is yours. This is yours. Not only body, mind, life force, heart, everything for him. Because we only know, we can only understand, the body or the mind. And that is why Krishna is talking about this. He's not talking about the heart, the love that the gopis had for him, because nobody is going to understand that. We can only understand it through physical, physical parameters. And these physical parameters are body, mind, this prana, that is the life force. And Krishna says, these people do not have any mind. Their mind has been completely transformed as me. They don't have anything as their life force, as prana. I am their prana. I am their prana. And, there is nothing, they don't have the body even. This body has also been given to me. This body also doesn't belong to them. Mameva dayitam preshtam atmanam manasa gataha. I am the one who always protect them. I'm the one who always protect them. Who loves me in this way. So, this is what Krishna told Uddhava about the nature of the gopis. Ta man manaska mad prana madarte tyakta dehikaha. And because they were like this, and that is why Krishna was always anxious about them, because he also felt the same kind of love for them. Krishna says, the mind of the gopis are offered to me. They have offered their mind to me. Their mind does not belong to them. The mind, their mind does not belong to them at all. They have offered their mind to me. I am their life. I am their life. They don't have their life. They have nothing of their own. They've given everything to me. I am their life. It is for my sake that they have renounced their worldly pleasures and happinesses. They have renounced everything, because they also live in a society. In India, there is a society. They are all people in a village, so there is a society. So people see, and these people are all these people are all householders. They're the wives of somebody. They're the husbands of somebody. They're the parents of somebody. So people know that these are the people. So they have got their social obligations, commitments. They have renounced everything for Krishna. It's a very, very difficult way to go to lead a life. So it is for my sake that they have renounced their worldly pleasures and happiness. They know me to be their beloved soul, and thus they have attained me through their minds. They know me to be their beloved soul, and that is why they have attained me through their minds. It says that to attain God, you need to go beyond your mind. You need to go beyond your mind. You need to go beyond your body. But the gopis, they have attained Krishna through their minds. Through their minds. Their minds has completely become, transformed into God. So only through their minds they could reach God or the Supreme Self. I keep them in happiness who, for the sake of attaining me, renounce even the performance of meritorious actions which bestows them with happiness here and hereafter. In short, they attain me alone. These people, they attain me. The hearts of the gopis were offered to Krishna alone. He was their life, resolving to the act or not to act, and different desires. These constitute the functions of the mind. When all of this had been dedicated to Krishna, then for the gopis, there remained nothing called mind. Everything has been given to Krishna. So nothing was there, left for Krishna, for the gopis. What remained was only the thought of Krishna's well-being and the effort to bring happiness to him. The only thing that they had, the only desire that they had, is to love him more and more, and to keep Krishna, to know Krishna's well-being. That's all. Apart from this, there used to be no other thought in the mind of the gopis. There was nothing they could refer as their own. Everything belonged to Krishna. Everything belonged to Krishna. Okay? So let us stop here. If we get time again, we are going to discuss this. Yuri, it's 11:45, so I need to go to bed now. Tomorrow morning at 4 again, I have to start my day. Thank you very much.
Swamiji, from one of the Ramakrishna songs, and for that love, the mighty yogis practice yoga from age to age. When love awakens, the Lord, like a magnet, draws to him the soul.
Yeah. Yes, true. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Take care. Have a good night. Bye, everybody.